Okay, got it.
Yeah, it's just signing into YouTube. I think we're almost there now.
It says live.
Perfect.
We are live.
Well, welcome everybody to High Vibes Up. We are live on Wednesday, 17th of May, 2023. And we are doing a morning live today, and we'll be doing a second live later today too. So this is very exciting. We just want to reach out to our HVU family that's going to be joining us from all parts of the world, UK, Europe, New Zealand, Australia, and anywhere else where they're tuning in from. We want to welcome you and we want to thank you for joining us on this live platform. And so we welcome you. So today I just want to kind of say, look, you guys are very important to us, to the show. Kid and Candy, who established this network, this channel, have put this together for you guys to come together, to learn, to connect, to offer so much value and so much love and support. They send their love to you. Diane and myself are guest hosting this show while they're on the wellness journey. So until then, you'll have the pleasure of us kind of entertaining you and bringing on wonderful guests. And today we have our beautiful sister from the UK joining us, our gorgeous Alpa Soni. Welcome.
Hello everybody.
Welcome, welcome.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you here. Thank you for for your presence, for your time, for your wisdom that you bring forward. And today, we'll start the show off because it's always about coming together in a loving space. When we connect with our heart space, we connect in that purest state of being. And as we come together to kind of say, hey, how are you? And, this is where we kind of say, all right, let's have the open heart discussions, whether it's about spirituality, whether it's about well-being, whether it's about anything that comes forward to share that will benefit and add value to our HVU family who's listening and tuning in. And we encourage them to kind of share that knowledge by liking and subscribing so that other people can benefit too. So let's get this show on the road. So yeah, so what's happening in the UK, first of all? Let's hear that, and I'll let you kind of see how you feel, what you want to share, and then Diane, feel free. We'll all kind of collaborate and bring this awesome show on the road.
Yeah, thank you first of all to both of you, Satnam and Diane. I've had the pleasure of meeting you, but I first of all want to say and acknowledge Candy and Kid. Thank you so much on behalf of them as well to have me on this show. I did have the pleasure of meeting both of you personally in Anaheim back in October. So I was very, very privileged to be in both your energies, and we had planned then to collaborate. So it's interesting how the universe has set forth this time now, and I'm seeing you on the screen, Diane. We had a lovely energy exchange back then, so I'm very humbled. Satnam, it's just been really nice to speak to you over the last few days. Just, you've rightfully said this is a time where we come together. The last 3 years have essentially been about that. We're connecting with people from all over the world where we wouldn't have. So there's gratitude to this movement as well, because when would we have connected in such a way, in this kind of this way of energetic connections in our lifetime like we have now? So there's always a plus and a negative to everything, but this time that we're spending together, I'm very, very grateful. But I'll start off by saying is that who felt the energies of Mercury retrograde?
Oh
it was we've been
Holy moly.
It's been crazy. And I've been trying to explain to my mother over the last few years, just going, don't tell me, Alpa, is it Mercury retrograde again? And our fridge went and all these technical things that were happening. But I had a friend who's completely oblivious to anything energetic. And he was just like, I hate you, Alpa. My fridge went, my stove went. This happened over Mercury. And now I'm just blaming my whole life on Mercury retrograde in a jovial sense. But in terms of the energetics, I was away, took some time out from the whole kind of public space, and I left sort of the UK. And when you ask that, you're from the UK, I tell you, I don't know whether when you sort of go in and out, you can feel the energies. Mm-hmm. And being such a sort of sensitive soul to the collective consciousness, the energies that we all are going through, both individually and then collectively, I really feel it. So I was off in a really nice kind of spiritual place. And then, I was like, woohoo, flying around and like feeling all like, oh, I've arrived and this feels great. I never want to go on social media again, and I don't want to be in the public. And then you come back into the UK and it's like, ouch. It feels like you've hit your head. And I really felt it for the first time this time. And I was just like, damn it, I've got more work to do. And I really need to kind of ground myself more, put my boundaries up. But the UK certainly has... there's a lot of ley lines here, but at the same time, within kind of where I live in North London, quite close to central London, the energies feel, and the word that comes to mind is dense. So I came back and I thought, wow, we are 3 years into this movement and this huge awakening. Everyone's still on different pages. There's a lot of cognitive dissonance still, and a lack of sort of acceptance of crap. There could be some truth that what all these nutty conspiratorial nuts were saying, and everyone's on sort of different pages. So I'm speaking to kind of the energetics first of all. I can really feel it. I'm not sure about others. If anyone's from the UK, if you can sort of say the same in the audience, I can't see in the chat, but I can definitely feel it. But the good news is the sun has decided to get his hat on, and that makes it feel great.
It's definitely a great feeling to feel that heat and the warmth and come out of the winter months, right? We're all blooming with that springtime coming into the summer. Great to get that sun penetration into your skin, into your body, to feel that vitality again. So it's awesome. But you're glowing, absolutely glowing.
Stunning. Just stunning. And I would love to share what's in the feed, but every time I turn my phone on, there's some video playing and I can't make it stop.
I got it. I got you covered.
I got you covered. Do that, Diane, in the beginning.
I'm so not the
haven't managed wizard, to get the whole YouTube thing.
We've got Kelly and Ronnie in the chat, sending a lot of love to everybody, supporting us, so which is great. Any questions you guys may have, feel free to kind of type in there. We will be happy to kind of answer them. If not on the show, then obviously after the show, we'll be happy to kind of address those, because we want participation. We want to hear from our High Vibes Up families. We want to hear what subjects really interest them and what it is that they have to ask. What information can we share and bring forward so that they feel, they're getting the answers, they're getting the information that they need. Obviously, we have to be YouTube sensitive with certain words. We can use code words for sure. But at the same time, it's about many, many people are going through a lot of different change, physically, mentally, spiritually. There's a great opening in all of us. Our hearts are opening, our energies are opening up. We're getting more aligned to our higher selves spiritually, I feel. So people are turning to meditation, yoga, different kinds of things that they're tuning into to kind of have that ultimate well-being. And this is the beginning of that journey for everybody, I feel, that are tuning in, because there's a resonance. And as the planet's energies are increasing too. So again, because we're so connected with the elements of the earth, our energies are also increasing, and we're feeling that. Sometimes they feel harsh and hard some days, and some days are easier. But it's how do we integrate that? What can we do?
I think one of the things that I've been feeling mostly is kind of a, for lack of a better word, a shedding. You know how when a snake grows out of its skin, it's got to drop that off back there somewhere, because it's useless now. So I feel like that there's a breaking through of, let's get through this ego part. Let's get through all of this, our personal egos. Don't worry about, Tom, Dick, and Harry. Is if when you're taking care of yourself and you're centering yourself, and that one exercise that they do at Heart Math to calm the mind and raise the heart, just that simple breath. And I know it sounds ridiculous. 2 minutes can change your life. And, just taking that breath, inhalate for the count of 5, exhalate to the count of 8, and just hold your hand over and just focus there. And that will just literally, like I said, interesting, if it evens out, it's going to be right around your throat chakra. So it's going to allow you to have the words to use, if you actually need to use words to express yourself.
Yeah. Breathing's very important. Staying still, and silence being away, not really being in touch with anybody, and just being in sort of my own energy and silence, coming to meet myself. I mean, it's so important that we do this like every year, and if not quarterly, if we can, even if it means just going away somewhere to the countryside or somewhere on your own, because at the end of the day, we have ourselves and ourselves only. So we better be friends with ourselves. Okay. The self-sabotaging talks, the self-deprecating energy that we can project upon ourselves, therefore then project to others. It's so important to have that inner self-awareness of ourselves. And we can say a lot of this stuff, we can really talk about it, but actually then enacting it and embracing it, are two different sort of things. And being in this public movement, this momentum that started in 2020, none of us were prepared. None of us were professionals. And we just came heart-centered, as you just said, Satnam and Diane, that's really where we all came. And then it's like, oh my God, there's so many bright lights there, and we're here. And now we are swimming in different perceptions and perspectives. And, I wasn't prepared for this. And you weren't, thinking that people would be on so many different energetic levels. So you have to kind of start from backwards. People will meet you as far as they've met themselves. Just because there's this so-called truth coming out, or has come out for many years, let's be honest, this conspiratorial narratives and the agenda and all of that has been sort of pushed for some time, and people have been speaking about it. But in terms of like the egocentric wars, which you mentioned, Diane, earlier on, that is very prevalent at the moment from an observational scale of where everyone's at. So of course, we're seekers of truth. Okay. Yep. I wasn't there when some of these things happened, so that I know the absolute truth. I'm seeking and I'm questioning, and then I'm speculating, and then I'm trying to interpret it with and evaluate it from the information that I've dissected, for example, what we call research. But what tends to happen is the right, wrong, egocentric wars, my truth's better than yours, this, that, the other, and social media is a great platform for that. So it's so important sometimes to just reflect. There's this pressure that we can all put on ourselves to be doing something all the time, to be somewhere, to want to speak, to have this voice. But I go back to what I just said. Silence was very important for me to recalibrate and come together within self. Life presents twists and turns for all of us. Change is the law of the universe. Okay. Right. It's the greatest law of the universe, and it's how we kind of navigate ourselves through these changes. But silence is golden sometimes. I cannot express it enough, because it's your own ego speaking to you, or the death of the ego, or sometimes they interpret it as the dark night of the soul. And I guess that's where the reality check goes in. You can then go into different realms depending on where you are at within your own spiritual practices, and your relationship with God. We're here to serve God in this world. We are here to serve God, and of course look after ourselves, love thyself, not sort of pour from an empty cup.
Right.
When people say, oh, she's so full of herself, well, I can't be empty, can I?
Oh.
The car doesn't run without petrol.
Exactly.
Right, so these are so many things that we learn in silence, and how to become your own best friend. And there is no manual.
Yeah,
You
it's so
find
funny.
out your own way.
My husband, he's like, you can drive. We have a property in Arizona, and he's like, you could drive all the way to Arizona without ever turning the radio on. And I'm like, yeah, it's like my meditation time. I can drive 3 or 4 hours and not speak to anyone, not have anything on. I'm just, once you start getting that road noise and you're like, okay, I'm in the flow, that's where I do a ton of my working everything out. And it is amazing. Silence is golden. And I love my own company. I have for years, and people didn't understand that years ago. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm super cool. I'd go on little vacations by myself. Well, what do you do? Whatever I want.
Yeah.
So, when you spend time in silence with yourself, you're actually tapping into the emotions that really need to be addressed and released. And when you acknowledge and work on those emotions that if they keep repeating, there's a message there that you have to release the old patterns, and the emotions are rising. It's trying to tell you something. And it's how we tap into the body to really kind of understand what it is that I really need to work with, what it is I need to acknowledge, what it is that I really need to kind of, and people look for us, how do I do that? How do I do that? There's many, many different ways that we can release our emotions. The body has its built-in mechanism to release emotion. One is crying. If you need to cry it out, cry it out. There's no shame in that, because that's what it's built for. Again, getting rid of this old conditioning of you can't cry, you have to be strong. Yeah, we're all strong, we're powerful beings, but there's nothing wrong with having your private space, private time, quiet time, release your emotions. And I use a book, I have it here behind me, and it's called The Emotion Code, right? This has many, many exercises in here that you can go through, and it really, really helps to live and release anything that we need to heal from, because this is a journey of healing and well-being, right? And the emotions that we hold on to is what starts causing the illness in the body. And it's
ease.
Exactly. And when we are ease in the flow, this is where we have the well-being. But dis is when you're dissing and really dismissing things that need to be addressed and calling on that. We have our busy lives. We have our heads buried in the sand sometimes, and we don't want to acknowledge, and we don't want to kind of address what's important to understand, or understand rather. And that's another thing. It's, when we try to sit quietly, whether it's sitting in the sun for 5 minutes, you open up like a flower and you feel, oh, this is something new. What am I feeling? And whatever is showing you and teaching you in those moments, it's something very powerful to take on, to learn. And this is something, every day you must acknowledge and do something for yourself, for your well-being. Go have a nice cup of coffee or a tea with somebody, with a friend, have a laugh. I think we don't laugh enough. We're too serious. So, and that's the other thing. I miss the British humor. I need more humor.
Sorry. Sometimes she's so funny, but sometimes it's wasted on me, and I just feel so bad for you. Sorry.
Let me explain that to you.
It's the dry form of wit. The Brits have this sense of witticism, and it's so dry that sometimes you can miss it. I get it. I mean, most people miss my jokes.
I want to get every one of them.
That's what I love about us Brits, this sense of witticism. But yes, you're right. Laughing is a wonderful medicine.
You know what it
And
is?
connecting with the right people.
Yeah, 100%. And it is, sorry, babes, we get bent out of shape because we take everything so literally and personally. And this is where it's like, stop taking things personally. Detach from this language that we've been so used to, and have a laugh. It's okay to laugh. We're not putting anybody down. We're laughing at ourselves, laughing at the humor. And what I love is the openness of what we've experienced in my days when I was in the UK. You know, living there, it's like you can tell somebody to F off and they're not going to get offended by that. It just means a different form of in a loving way. It's like, you know, get lost or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just not taken in an offensive way. It sounds so polite that people don't take it seriously.
I went to university up north. Where are you originally from, Satnam?
I'm from
Derby,
Leeds.
was it?
Leeds.
Well, not far from Manchester, right? So
yeah.
Coming from London to Manchester as a wee 18-year-old. And I remember back then it was just this culture shock because everything was so laid back. And you can really feel again the disparity between Londoners and Mancunians. And of course, there were students from all over the world. And I really loved the whole laid back, the further north you go, the more laid back sort of the culture is. Well, I felt it back then, but yeah, I definitely feel a lot of homeliness with your accent. It hasn't changed being over there across shores.
I don't hear it.
No, I do. I love the northern twang.
Thanks. Well, I haven't really when you really talk about the northern twang, you know, it goes a little bit more broader, but I haven't kind of kept hold of that. I think I had to let that go because there was a lot of integration of different accents I had to kind of work with because people wouldn't understand you otherwise, right? It's like, yeah, duck, right?
Bertha,
that's the other thing. So I was just addressing some scripture on one of our shows from the 1800s. And in there, they mentioned something. So being the creator, God, the creator, they use the word Bertha, like Birther. So the way I say it's Bertha, it sounds like somebody's name, right?
I didn't get it. I'm like, who's Bertha? I don't get this.
Yeah. Anyway, it's okay. So here we are.
It's a great prayer.
It is. Yes. I'll share it with you, Alpa, one day.
You love it.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So let's just address some things. So we've talked about a little bit about the energetics, how it's affecting us. We've talked about some of the elements that we can do and choose. What about what we can put into our bodies to enhance the processes, to really kind of feel the change? Because every cell in our body needs something, whether it's water, whether it's nutrition, supplement, right? So just speaking about the elements of what do we have that is natural, that allows your body to kind of energize itself, to balance itself, because the energies that we're feeling are really shaking. Like you say, it's shedding. But at the same time, how do you renew the cells? You know, we talk about redox, we talk about different products that we have available to us through our resources. I know, Alpa, you have something called ARI. And I don't know if you'd like to speak a little bit about that and how it can help and enhance the body's well-being as well, and what kind of conditions. I know we're not doctors, but at the same time, we have some natural solutions that are classified as supplements, not medication. So just want to be clear on that.
Yeah, I think, first of all, you said, what can we do to energize ourselves and our body? So what kind of layers are we looking at this at? So spiritually, what are we doing? And we have to acknowledge the spiritual realm. We discount it, we can talk about it, and we can verbalize it. It all sounds like this new age spirituality, but in its essence, what is our relationship energetically to God, source, whatever whichever way you feel comfortable addressing this, but it has to be a direct linear relationship with God and the power of prayer. And when you become congruent within that, there's some magical things that can happen. So that's what you can do for your body. There's the most amazing things that happen from a healing perspective. You know, of course, I'm taking this, sorry, you can't see it with my thing, but like yourselves, I can see we've all got this in the background. So I'm huge, big fan of this, not just because, you know, it tastes like chlorine, because I hated the taste at first, but it's amazing how my body adapted. So we can find what works for us, be it through a seer, I'll speak about Ari shortly. I do the roots, and of course, drinking lots of water, but I also don't deny myself little naughties every now and again, because, you know, I was very one-sided before, you know, and it was too kind of pedantic about what I ate, you know, and this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and I've got to eat this, and it's got to, because you know what, too many cooks, as they say, spoil the broth. So if you are sort of seeking information from so many places and you don't know the tune of your own body, you can be all over the place and you can be sort of ungrounded. So, you know, I was sat there, of course, eating like copious amounts of gluten and sugar and all of that. I'm not saying, you know, drown yourself in a bucket of ice cream or anything like that, but I mean, you can do, because it's
every now and then.
but, you know, everything in moderation and balance, but don't don't deprive yourself of never having like a little bit of a chocolate or something, you know, because it's that balance, and it's every now and again it's nice. And I think in these energies, I've wanted to eat a lot of comforting food, which is, and feeling the need to sleep a lot more, and sleep early. Like I'm talking around about 8:45. I'm like, since have I turned, what's what's gone on with me? And, you know, waking up at 6:30, it's like solid and just being ambushed. And then when you speak to your friends who are on the same path and you hear similarities, you think, yes, of course, we're affected by what's going on. But to be affected, you know, how much are we going to allow? It just has to stay in that awareness and rest. And of course, drink a lot of water. I don't know about you both, but I'm thirsty all the time. I drink, I'm fortunate to have the Kangen, and I see a massive difference with the quality of water that we drink. So I drink a lot of water, but I find that I'm drinking more than usual, and it's been post this eclipse. So that's where I've just wanted to ground myself more and be okay with drinking more kind of, like, I've just wanted to eat more carbohydrates, you know, type of foods, and kind of comfort food. And it just sort of lasts for a few days, but I don't sort of deny myself that. But of course, it's a holistic approach, mind, body, and soul. So I do a lot of Pilates, that helps for my back. So it's called the Reformer. Oh God, sorry.
I've got one. They're wonderful.
It's Kenzo calling me from the park. Mummy, I need to be picked up.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, it's a collective effort of what we do, and find out what works for you, for your body. You know, what works for me, what might not work for you. So I'm not kind of dogmatic about, right, you can't do this, you can't do that. You've got to find what works. But if you kind of energetically shift your mindset as well, I mean, we can all go into a pity party every now and again, and, you know, rightfully so, you know, you can have like a mammoth pity party, and I think it shouldn't go on for more than 30 minutes, but, you know, wail away, like you said, cry, have a sob, but it's about that recalibration. So you will know when you're out of sync, and you'll feel it. So if you're a sensitive soul, and I think I really feel it, it's know your own truth, you know, shine your light, find your own way. That's my anthem.
Yeah.
And it's honoring whatever the body's craving, honor it. Because it's not something, I think, again, it's a old conditioning of, oh, this is bad, but it's like, what energy are you putting in, what intention are you putting on that food before you take it? Because if you put a different intention, it's not going to suit your body. But if you put good intentions to what you're eating with, like you say, everything in moderation, it's okay. It will process its way out how it needs to and give you the nutrients it needs to, because there's a reason why the body's asking for it, right? So There's nothing wrong with that.
And everybody has their own way. And, you know, just trusting yourself, just because this way works for someone else, don't impose it on someone else. You can give them the idea, whatever, but they have their own way of clearing their space. They have their own way of, you know, dealing with their own ego issues, because of course, only they know what they are exactly. You know what I mean? Just like the food that we stick in our mouth, right? You know, we know which one's going to cause us trouble. We already know, but sometimes you're craving it. And once you crave it, you can't not crave it until you get it, right? You just need to get it, you know, even if it's just a bite. So the same things kind of happen on a soul level as well. It's like you're craving something. And I have my whole life, and I've craved the truth, not a part of the truth, not a slice of the truth, not a scoop of the truth, the whole damn truth. And this is where in lies some, I guess, conflict within ourselves, because we want to know the truth, inherently know the truth. Some people need to see it on written down, you know, that sort of thing. But for me, I just want to know that I'm feeling what's true. And regardless if anybody else believes it or not, I can feel the truth when it, you know, hits me right between the eyes. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, your intuitive compass is always there as your radar, telling you something, and it's signaling something to you all the time. This is why we call it our sixth sense. Our solar plexus is so activated if we allow it to be. And what we've been taught in humanity is not to trust ourselves. And then, you know, like we always say that, you know, I've got a gut feeling when you're energetically next to somebody, and you think, as we say in Hindi, dal mein kuch kala hai yahan par, right? You know, you understand that. Yeah, there's something wrong in this big bowl of lentils. There's a black one in there. Something energetically is not right. So we can say that. And my mom, and you know, my mom would always say that to me. She says, "Oh, dal mein kuch kala hai yahan par," right? Like we would instinctively feel it, but we are governed and taught not to trust thyself, which is why this whole new kind of expansion on this new age spirituality on social media platforms is love thyself, love thyself, love thyself, because that in itself has its power, right, of loving yourself. And if it was so simple, we would have known about it back then. But we were programmed into these kind of subliminal programs that have been coming from the echelons of the top and fracturing humanity's consciousness. So this is where we are at this great awakening stage like never before, to learn to love thyself, okay, and then find out what you say is the truth, what actually has happened in humanity, his story, her story, you know, what we've been lied to, and whether, without going into sort of the depths of the nitty-gritty and the kind of, you know, the she said of it, when you realize, oh my God, there's just a big fat lie in every single thing. So now what do? Is we find out our own truth, because we've come here to self-actualize and to have the to realize who we are as living beings, as spirits in this kind of, with this conduit, as is a physical body, a vessel that we've been blessed with. So of course we need to learn how to look after it, keep our mental health clean, keep the kind of relationships we have with self and others clean, but it's operating from that integrity. Now, if we're not honest with ourselves, how are we going to be honest with people outside? So I say it's like what we do behind closed doors and sort of working from a place of integrity. I didn't care a damn when I first started this movement about numbers and caring about, you know, who, what, where, when, whether my show, I didn't even start a channel when I first came into this movement. And I found this, I have genuinely found this 3 years incredibly difficult, because it wasn't what I had signed up for, or I didn't feel mentally prepared, but it ushered me into the most beautiful journey. And that is the sort of a business that I'm involved in now with within the autism community, which again, like I said, I'll speak about shortly. But it's about that truth begins at home, and that's yourself. So then we are seekers of truth. We want to find, but what lenses are we looking at everything in? Is it looking at things from a right or a wrong or a contempt, and sort of berating people? That all comes down within self. So like we can be influenced from everything that we watch, because it's an information war as well. So we can become consumed, overwhelmed, feelings of inadequacy. I'm not doing this. We all go through it. Okay, where I need to be, what I need to be doing, this pressure. And it's no fault, because that's what the sort of matrix, this system has done to us. Okay, so it's put this kind of hidden pressure, which we don't even realize. So then we're still swimming in these energies that haven't kind of changed for a long time. This divide and conquer subliminal programming has been within humanity for so long. So this is why they're saying we've come here for eternal moksha, to find who we are. Who are we? We're not our name, we're not our title, we're not our job. It's actually to actualize, to find out at soul level who we are. Now, there's so much information out there, and it literally overwhelms me. And for me, it was the journey of self-discovery, one about myself, and of course, having that kind of intuitive compass about my nephew, that he had lovely idiosyncrasies, and he was a very quirky kind of thinker, and I loved it. I love people who think out the box and have this beautiful way of expression. Their eyes light up, and, you know, even though he was very repetitive, there was something so beautiful about his soul, and I could see it. But the programming, the matrix sort of dictates, especially in Asian families, that, oh my God, there's something different about him. Let's just not address it. Let's just sweep it under the carpet. Let's sweep it under the carpet, because we cannot have this social conditioning or this kind of let people know that there's something wrong. We have to pretend, there's this pretense that everything's okay, everything's normal. Well, 12 years on, like when he was, my nephew is called Ari, his nickname is Ari, and that's what the business is, called after. And I was very obsessed with the subject of autism. I wasn't very well educated about it, but it started with him back in 2011, when he was just about a year and a half. And I noticed, you know, he was tiptoeing initially. He had such an eccentric personality, but I could see he was so quote unquote different. So he's tiptoeing on his feet. He had this repetitive interests, which get brushed off as, oh, it's just a phase. But I noticed kind of the intricacies of his interests. So, for example, the Wheel of the Bus song, it wasn't the song. It was nothing to do with the energy of the song. It was the wheel of the bus. And he could just for hours and hours watch the wheel of this bus go round and round. Then it became an obsession with the letter W, and so forth and so forth. So there was these distinct obsessions, and then that eye contact. So one eye kind of had, there was a little sort of stigma in his eye, lazy eye, which I have, which my brother has, which my father has. And I will go on to that in a second, but I kind of noticed that. And then the flapping of his fingers, and then the rocking to kind of like soothe himself. So I can't continuously monitored him, watched him, but I wasn't allowed to say anything. It would just be sort of pushed away. Don't be stupid. It's not heard. I'm completely stonewalled. And then I started educating myself even more and more and more about it. So making myself familiar with the subject of Asperger's, or Asperger's as they call it in the US, and the various forms, and no one shoe fits all. Now, for the purpose of like the sensitivity of this subject and the correlation of what causes it, I'm not going to be able to say on the show, but I'm sure the viewers will understand that what has attributed to the rise in autism over the last 50 years. And it's now 1 in 30. If we go on the CDC website, which I don't like quoting them or citing them, but seeing as people use them as a reference point, if you go on and see the figures of how many children now have been diagnosed with autism. Now, I think I sit on the spectrum. So when I started studying very mildly, and I think we all may have something, this kind of quirky personality, I couldn't make eye contact, and this inherent shyness as well, emotional regulation, and I could pick it up in people very easily. So they are very empathic and very smart. And again, like I said, it depends what sort of side of the spectrum you sit on. But I then fast forward then back to sort of 2021. It just so happened that I got introduced to the lovely couple that actually make this at home, this blend of botanical herbs, which is a very gentle approach to detox heavy metals from the brain. So everybody can use the detox, and it's based on the principle, something you may be aware of this, and a very old ancient Ayurvedic principle called Bejodi. So that means it's put through the navel. There's glands there so that can absorb the oil very quickly. Or you can put it on the sole of the feet, again used in traditional Chinese medicine, and again Ayurveda. So we kind of had a very soft organic launch, and I'm going to show you a video, if that's okay. First of all, for your viewers, if they haven't come across what RE is, just a video on our website. So I think I've got screen share, but
Love it.
oh, great, you've got it. Yeah, nice.
I use it for my dad. So
Okay.
he had a brain surgery and he has a shunt in his head. So he has metal in his head.
Right.
This would be the perfect thing for that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's gentle. So let's start off with this, and then I'll just explain
Absolutely.
a few other things. So this is, here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Ooh.
Proven to detoxify the brain of heavy metals, poisons, and other toxins, all of which, when detoxed, make way for optimal brain function. RE is an herbal formulation for anyone needing to detox, and specifically for anyone with autism. RE has not only been freeing those with autism, but also those taking care of loved ones with it. Caretakers can breathe again, and autistic behaviors dissipate. This formulation is an herbal blend which is produced in small batches, containing only the cleanest and most vibrant ingredients. Because the individual ingredients are uniquely extracted, gently and naturally by the sun, they can be absorbed directly into the bloodstream within seconds, via the soles of the feet or the navel. This method avoids the digestive tract and has proven more effective than pills or capsules. This is a two-step program requiring a 12-day detox first, which helps eliminate any heavy metals and toxins accumulated in the brain. This is then followed by autism support and is recommended to use for as long as results are desired. The formulation contains no chemicals, CO2, or solvents, ensuring that it's pure and natural. Are you treating with RE?
That's beautiful.
So then this is our site, the RE brand. It's a very simple site. It's just two products. Obviously the detox, anyone can use that, 12 days. And I've got, I just wanted you to go down these instructions of how to use it. But the testimonials, this one in particular, this of a father of an 18-year-old and then a 4-year-old son. And there's one that I've actually got, which is not here. I've got to update it. But we've had a lot of people write in. They've experienced various things. So the lady whose daughter, Kayliana, that I'm just about to share, she's been on it for 1 year. And yeah, for 1 year. So she said it's changed her daughter's life. She was persistent. She had the intuitive kind of like compass to carry on and use it. Her daughter now, who had a few difficulties again socially with her vocabulary, she's just got like student of the year in her class. She's just this is just so cute. You have to see
I love this.
Oh, can you see it? Here we go. Can you see that?
Yes. What
Wow.
an amazing kid.
Everything that that's for me. And you, I like it is, yeah. I always have
Oh my heart.
Is
So
she the
beautiful.
sweetest thing? Oh my God, she's so sweet.
So
She
beautiful.
really is. And this just, she just sent me this yesterday. And I was like, oh, I have to share it. I was like, thank you for keeping me posted. She goes, her confidence has, really expanded in this 1 year. And when a parent is looking after their child who has, quote unquote, differences, and I think it's great to be different, and you have to teach your child to embrace that, so there's nothing wrong with that. But when there's kind of an emotional dysregulation with regards to how they express themselves, this inability to be able to show emotions, so what happens, because it used to happen to me as a child, and I didn't quite understand what was going on, not very, very mildly, but now picking up on what my brother was going through, and then my nephew being diagnosed with it officially, there is definitely something within the family. And everyone these days say, oh, we all have something, but it's having the lenses to be able to see at what level. Okay, so there is, again, I reinforce, there's no one shoe fits all. And I put a medical disclaimer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not here, I don't cure or any of that. This just helps to dissipate, and we have loads of testimonials at how it's affected children in their own way. So eye contact and an expansion of vocabulary is a mother's dream. Like Carlton, one of the reviews on the site, his mother said that his son to say I love you and make eye contact and hug him, whereas he didn't like anyone hugging him before. It was just too much, overwhelming. So I say, look, this is a huge, if this was my bit for me to be able to do it in a herbal, botanical way, I thank God. And who it's meant to reach, it will reach. And yeah, till the end of June, I've listened, there's a discount for 30%. I want to extend that because the ingredients are very expensive. I mean, if you just look at what... we've got the grapeseed oil, blessed thistle, calawala, cayenne, horse chestnut, mistletoe, corella, blue green. That is really expensive. The blue green algae, nettle, fennel, aloe vera, black walnut, onion, cohosh, etc., etc. You can see all the ingredients. That's just in the autism support. And then we've got the detox. So that it's quite, and this is all handmade. And so there's a lot of care that's taken into it. And then there's prayers on each bottle that goes out before we send it to everyone that buys it. So what I want to do, because we're trying to reduce the price, I know it's expensive, I'm giving it a 30%, it's the biggest discount, and I'm keeping it because I want more children to benefit from this. And when I get the kind of feedback that I got yesterday, and I have been for the last few weeks, it, to me, that's sort of indicative that I'm in the right lane, doing what I have to do.
Oh, I've got goosebumps all over. You are absolutely in the right lane. And I do love the fact, having been in the herbology and health business for over 40 years, that this is hand done. It's individually sourced, which is a problem when you want the specific, I don't want this, I need it grown here. That is massive. I have a girlfriend that has an herbal company, so I've seen what she's gone through over the last 40 years, and then praying over it. How much more beautiful can that be? And just, to say a quick word about, alienating yourself when you come up with a little slice of truth in your family. Because you got to know that's going to be happening. But just having the strength and the knowing that not only can I see the truth, is that I'm being shown the truth in the God in me, and having the strength to just show up and say, I got a little something you might want to try. And knowing that you may be alienated for a minute until they try it. And guess what? You're the greatest aunt or uncle or grandma or grandpa or brother or sister in the whole wide world, because it's made a huge change in somebody's life. Now, I have watched my dad change. This is very gentle because, he's 84. So I did the detox for a little bit longer. So we've just finished that part. So then we're going to go into the other part, because he's had these, this metal in his head forever. And, this is not just for autism or Asperger's or someone that's, we've probably all have this in our brain. And, we're talking about veterans also, people that have, replacement joints. I mean, all of this. I mean, think about that. Where do you suspect that metal's going? This is what's handling. And it's gentle. And I'm telling you, and I love the way it actually feels. It has a luscious feel. Of course, I want to stick everything on my face, but
it's the onion that makes it smell a bit. I find it strong. I'm glad that you like the way it feels, but me kind of being sensitive to smell. It's a friend of mine, Jen. She says, Harper, I used it the first day. I'm just going to give you feedback. I said, yes, because I love you. I said, okay, but give me more. I have a flat stomach. And I was like, she goes, yeah. Bit of an interesting night, but this morning woke up flat stomach. I was like, okay, thank you, too much information. But she was really happy. And she just said, yeah, so I can't really put that on the website. Could you write me? So she goes, no, I'm going to write that. I want to write that. He gave me a flat stomach, but she goes, I felt clearer in the mind. And then some people actually don't feel anything. Okay, it's just a sense of, as I say, are you putting on enough? That's when you need to kind of take that intuitive kind of move to say, I think I need to put a little bit more, because my skin is not absorbing this as quick, because there's so much going on. And if you're ridden with a lot of toxicity, see, with children, it works a lot. It activates quicker, because especially if you're starting it off on a 4 or a 5-year-old, right. How many years have they been exposed to it compared to us, right? So there has to be that realistic expectation. I'm not here, once again, for the purpose of the channel and everything. I'm not saying that I'm curing anything. It's this medical disclaimer. Speak to your doctor and all of that, and get the right advice. But, it's herbal, and it's a gentle approach. And remember, like, again, just sort of tapping back into the autism community, they don't like this. They have problems with textures and taking things orally. So this is quite nice. Janice said that she made it into a really nice bedtime kind of ritual of massaging her daughter's feet every night. So now her daughter's like, it's massaging feet time. And she always runs with the bottle of Ari around. And she goes, Mama, massage my feet. It's just, that's really nice. And I love to hear all of that. But again, like I said, you got nothing to lose. Just try. It's you can use the detox for all of us. I use it. It's quite potent, actually, but yeah, I'll leave my sort of
I have a quick question about that. So my dad is extraordinarily ticklish, and if I rubbed it on his feet, I would end up with a foot in my face. So I use it, I put it in his belly button, but he's not really good at rubbing that in. Is there a way, something we can put over the top, because a Band-Aid would just soak it up? What can we seal it in there?
Yeah, if you could sort of, so this is what I have got, without sort of being explicit, I've got a tiny belly button and I have to wait for it to kind of absorb. So I tap it. I tap. So if you don't mind, if you're doing it for him, he can just tap on the belly button and then sort of massage it, tap. It's almost like you're sort of tapping it in. Yeah. So, you're kind of, but the thing is, you have to put it not so that it overflows the belly button. And if it's relatively sort of medium size, not small, then you can just, right. Okay. So you'd have to probably put it twice, but not overflowing, because then it goes, it's okay if it overflows, you just tap everywhere. It in. Yeah. Now, if you can though, just kind of with the like, this is what I do. So you see the dripper, you can kind of, I know if he's ticklish, but you're going to have to try it. And if you can just kind of circle a little bit like an S on the foot, and then just rub it with that without you touching it. See how he feels, because the sensation of this is different to the finger. So you'd be more sensitive to the touch of the fingers. So I've had that question asked before about the tickling of the feet.
Great idea.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The onion.
But that's awesome. I just want to kind of really speak from the heart. This is huge because for the future generations as well that are before us, right, coming after us, having natural products like this to help detox and to balance the body, this is such a gift to be in service with. Service to humanity, service to ourselves, for everybody on all levels. I'm sure it's good for pets too, because, you know, the elements of our environment, when we look at the water we drink, unless you're using your Callaghan or anything else like a filter system, then obviously tap water has so many metals in there. So just imagine what we're consuming. You know, we're surrounded by metals. Doesn't matter where
and
we
the mercury fillings as well. That's something we have to address.
Yes.
That, you know, myself included, I have to get rid of the aluminium, mercury, like the fillings in our teeth, because that's going to continuously be exposing us. It's going to be like a, you know, you're constantly trying to be detoxing, but you're kind of replenishing if you've got mercury toxins. And that's another thing that I had to really kind of be honest and say, it's about time you get rid of it. It's just, you know, it's not the easiest of process to get rid of a mercury filling.
Yeah,
No, it is not.
I changed mine out from the metal ones that they did in the UK to the white ones. So I was like, we've got to get rid of this because this is a while ago. But isn't it interesting how the awareness that's coming forward as to how we need to change consciously, conscious living, having more awareness as to what we're applying and putting into the body, the foods we eat, you know, the packaging. There is something somewhere that we touch or breathe that has some level of metals in it. So this product that you're bringing forward is going to help everybody to not only detox the metals out of the body, but also to recalibrate with the second part of that. So being natural, being herbal, I'm all about that. Bring it, sister. So that's beautiful. So I thank you for sharing that. You know, I have family members who could use that too. So I'll be definitely sharing that with them.
Don't forget there's spring 30, spring all in capitals and 30. And I'm going to extend it till the end of June. It was till the end of May. I just had someone write into me and said, I want to buy some next month. Could you extend it? And I'm like, you know what? I'll just extend it till at the end of June. So my main thing at this point is like, because it's the costs and it's just so expensive, but I want more people to try it. And, you know, I'd love to speak to Robert Kennedy about this because he's big on the subject of autism. And again, there are so many things out there that, you know, that people are doing, and it's wonderful. And it's just embracing, integrating and collaborating. And, you know, this is my voice. This is what I'm doing. It might appeal to some. It may not appeal to others. It may, you know, I'm not here for that. I'm just here saying that this has worked. This is a blessing from Donald and Barbara, who have worked so hard, and that I was very fortunate to be connected to them. And it's, again, the manifestation, the energy about what your life purpose, what you were supposed to do. So that's kind of the story. It's like, oh my God, I was obsessed with this subject. God has gifted me this now. And it's, you know, through the trials, tribulations, I'm going to be going out there gung-ho now and getting the word out about Ari.
Alpa, anything I could do to help you? I'm a sister in arms regarding this, and I believe everyone. You're very welcome. Everyone has, you know, we've heard it 1,000 times. Their piece of the puzzle, and Ari is one of your pieces, and I would proudly wear that anytime. And I do speak to people about that when I'm compelled to speak to them about it. And, you know, I take care of my parents full time, 24/7. So, you know, it's like having a very tall 5-year-old and, you know, and someone that knows better than you and wants to argue about everything. So I told him what this was about. And it's like, oh, are we ready for those drops? And I've noticed that he's a little, you know, he's sharper. You know, he's never been, you know, like dull, but, you know, his sense of humor is coming back because that kind of disappeared. So and he's funny, man. My dad is funny. My mom has never gotten his humor, but he is funny. My mom just sits there and I'm like, Mom, that's funny. I think it's stupid. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God I got a good sense of humor.
But that's what you want. You want that spark to come back. And even if there's like an improvement, because we can never really gauge to see how much disruption there is in the sort of brain chemistry. None of us know, including within ourselves. There are tests, of course, we can get so many things out. And there is a lot of modalities, healing modalities that are out there. I'm huge fans of, even in the spiritual sort of side of things. But if you're making, like, as a parent or even the child, like that's your dad, and you see sort of small improvements, that in itself can, just evoke a sense of relief. And even if there is a 5%, then it extends 10%. I mean, Kaliana, her mum, a year in, it's just like seeing her daughter, like the star, and like she's teaching her all these manifestation things and the power of being this exuberant spirit. What an amazing mother for Janice is just this beautiful woman. I met her in Anaheim as well. And she came to me, she goes, I've been using Ari, and I was just like a little bit overwhelmed. I was like, hello, are you talking to me? And I was like, oh, hi. And she's like, I just want to thank you. And I was like, oh, I got really shy. And she then started explaining the significant difference. So even if it's just that much, and your child is kind of, again, getting that chance to express themselves rather than being, which is what they want, to be sort of, it's almost like a clinical depression sometimes. I had a friend say to me that she's trying to explain to a family member about, this sudden change in her son's behavior because of what, and she just does not want to acknowledge it. So, and then she's trying to get her to sort of look into this. I mean, my own sister-in-law won't try Ari. So, because it's that resistance that you could possibly be right. You're doing something that's proved me wrong. The egocentric wars that come here. It's okay, but it leads you to a greater purpose. Because if you get, sort of, oh, why can't you? Why are you just fixated on that one person? What I implore everyone is that those things serve as an impetus for you to do greater things to a larger community. And you're here to do your bit. You can't all just do everything single-handed. We need that community spirit. I really thank you for offering your help, because I'll be honest, when I went through a sort of a personal kind of up and down over the last 6-7 months, it wasn't my father got diagnosed with cancer as well, but through the power of prayer and Ayurvedic treatment, guess what? He's much better. He's out vibrant, and he didn't do any of this other things that, the medical fraternity had encouraged him to. He has a crazy daughter that he literally goes, I just don't know what you're telling me to do. But you kind of listen reluctantly. And guess what? Unfortunately, a friend of mine's mother, who, same thing, got diagnosed with cancer at the same time my father did. My father didn't have the but her mother did 4 times, and unfortunately January passed. So what I'm trying to say is that your healing journey, and for your loved ones, you have to the approach is really important, okay? And how you handle with people, and having that kind of, like I keep saying, that intuition of, okay, if my sister-in-law just does not want to listen to me about how it's going to benefit her, I can sit and cry about it, or think, there's more children that I can help because of it. And in his name, God bless him and keep him protected always. So it's, crisis can turn into a blessing.
Yeah. And you're being an advocate, whether you're whether you have the ability to be the advocate, because every time we see the word Ari, now we know that it's attached to him. So we're giving him that. So when we see it, when we say it, Ari, he's getting that love from us through you and your grace. And let me tell you, you are so full of grace. It just, I could just drink it up. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That's so kind. I've just been very fortunate. I've got a teary there. I'm gonna cry. I cry easily. I wail. I have to
So do I.
control myself. Sometimes I'm like, it's really sweet. And I'm, like I said, I got to meet you and absorb your beautiful energy. And I'd love to meet you too, Satnam. I know that we are approaching an hour. But you know, I'm just blessed, really, really humbled that you've asked me to come on this show. I do want Ari now to kind of make a lot more noise than I have with all my distractions with, like I said, like I was saying, with my father, etc., etc. I was kind of taking Ari for granted in a way that it will just sort of rock on, and it has. But I want to give more, and I want to give more of that to people if it means just doing the best. We're still trying to source the prices so that we can lower them even more. And I am looking for people at this stage just to help get the word out so I can build this so that we can do it even more and reach out to more people, and start an RE community.
Yeah.
Because
also I got a big mouth. I can help.
Cool. I'll take you on it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I will say this to add to what you're saying, Alpa and Diane as well. You know, we're sowing the seeds, and those seeds will come to bloom at some point. For those who are not ready for it now, will pay attention, and when they're ready, they'll see the transformations in others and say, okay, I want some of that now. I'm ready for it. Don't worry about the doors or the people that are not ready for it. It's okay. Keep doing what we're doing, and just inspire people. The inspiration, because it's coming purely from your heart as service in that loving connection that we started off with. We're a full circle back to this is the power of the connection of love and who we are, being in service to each other. And it's beautiful. And I thank you for bringing this forward for everybody. I know I was looking at the chat as well, and there's people in there, there's links in there, and the ARI links as well. So thank you, Ronnie, for posting that, and Sarah as well. I think they may be looking at that. But if people want to find you, your work, and what you do, is there a website? Well, you can definitely send it to me as well. We'll put it in the link as well. So that would be awesome.
Yeah, I've just got a link tree, and you can find everything that I do, but especially the videos for Ari, my Rumble. Of course, my YouTube went down, but I've got this backup one. So everything is on the link tree. It's just in one link.
Sure.
See all my other links.
So is it Alpa Soni, or is it Spiritual Badass, or where do we find?
Yeah, Spiritual Badass is the Love and Action show on YouTube. The Spiritual Badass, and then that's where all my kind of like Instagram spiritual.badass. But yeah, I also forgot to send that to you. So just to send you my I'll send that to you. You can find me, but aribrand.com. I'm also going to be expanding the topical range as well. We are actually in the process of experimenting with diabetes. We've got a topical for that, type 2 diabetes.
Wow.
There was a lady that I wanted to send it out, but I'm actually putting it out there. If anybody would like, who's got type 2 diabetes, would be open to try it. This is again the same process: the oil through the feet or the navel, a gentle approach, and I'm happy to send out this to 2 people. If you've got that, then just mail Satnam or myself, alpa@aribrand.com. Yeah, that's Alpa, my full name, ALPA, not ALPHA, not Alpha, Alpa, ALPA at REARII brand.com. So I would be, I'm looking for some volunteers just to try it if they've got it. I've had one person.
Might have one in mind for you. And I also want to make sure that you're invited back here anytime you have something you want to say. Honestly, I love when you grab something, because the way you articulate the spirituality side and the way you just, it's like this nice flowing song, and I'm like, oh, and I forgot. I literally forgot I'm on the show with you. I'm just listening like, yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you a little secret. I grew up listening to what we call kirtan or bhajans.
Yeah.
While my brother was kind of ding-donging to rap music, I was singing my Om Namo Shivas and my Hare Krishnas, right? Because my dad listens to it. And there's such a beautiful, elegant reverberation and frequency to kirtans and these mantras and just this beautiful beats that comes out of the Indian music. So it's made me kind of a little bit like, woo, I just listen to that for years.
I want to listen to that. And,
I said it too. I've got Kenzo hooked as well. I've got to show you the video of Kenzo. As soon as I put on this one particular song about Shiva, his teeth go, he just smiles every time he just looks at me. Yeah, and his girlfriend Lola, but that's another story.
I love it. Thank you so much for being here with us. It's such a pleasure, honor, privilege.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm so humbled.
Likewise. And we look forward to having you back again very soon. So, thank you so much once again, everybody tuning in. High Vibes family, we love you. Sending everybody high vibes for the rest of the day. Enjoy, and we'll tune in soon. See you soon.
High vibes up. High vibes up. Three goddesses.
Yeah. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.